on this last morning before school starts in my household. Nobody happier than I am. The weight of the world will be off my shoulders, but on quarterback shoulders as they get ready to start the NFL season. Give me a player who does not feel the pressure days before the start of a new season, or the parent who doesn't feel the weight lifted off when the kids go back to school. Dak and Brady, 59 hours and change from kicking it off, counting it down. Chris Broussard, why don't you start us off? Take us through your list of the 5 quarterbacks under the most pressure this season.
I'm excited for this. Oh, my God, I'm excited.
All right, Jenna,
Let's go.
At number 5, we've already talked about him, Lamar Jackson. All right, I may have never seen a player who's accomplished so much so soon be so doubted. And that goes from organizations, media, to players. He has gone, last year he was the #1 ranked player by the players in the league. This year he's 23rd. All right, we saw 3 receivers, Kenny Galladay, John Smith-Schuster, also known as Juju Smith-Schuster, and T.Y. Hilton turned down the Ravens, all right, in free agency. People have their doubts about Lamar Jackson. They think he's going to fall off. And look, to be quite honest, last year he didn't throw the football as well. Yards were down, touchdowns were down, interceptions were up. So, and here's the final kicker. He still has not signed his big-time contract extension. He's still looking for that contract extension in between $40 and $45 million a year. So if he doesn't get it done this year, and I don't mean get to the Super Bowl, but he has to show that he can throw the ball consistently and be more of a passing quarterback than a running quarterback. That's what people want to see. So their pressure is on Lamar Jackson. All right, Jenna.
Number 4.
At number 4, Carson Wentz.
Keep going. Yeah.
All right, look, this is a guy that a few years ago people thought was going to be a superstar, and he was in line, en route to winning the MVP award. And now, of course, he's an afterthought. All right, he's back with Frank Reich in Indianapolis, the guy who took him to the great heights that he reached in 2017. So, and this team is built to win now. Great offensive line, good running game, good defense. They are expected to make the playoffs. If Carson can't get them there, this could be his, I mean, he'll still be in the league, but this could be his last shot at really resurrecting his career.
That's right.
And oh, by the way, he's also got to stay healthy. He's been hurt essentially every year since high school. That's not an exaggeration. So he's got to show that he can stay healthy too.
Yep.
All right, at number 3, Matthew Stafford. We started the show off. Peter King and other experts have picked the Rams to make the Super Bowl. All right, Matthew Stafford had never even won a playoff game. Peter King picked him to be the MVP. He's only been a Pro Bowler 1 time. There is no excuse. Everywhere else, they're stacked. Great defense, great coach, great receivers. It's on Stafford to prove that he's a winner.
I like that. That's
all right,
good.
there he is, Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, wow.
We talked about it. Tua, Nick said it. Everybody thinks he stinks. I've never seen a guy so disrespected after 10 games.
Facts.
All right, his team's trying to trade him for a guy that may never play again in the NFL, Deshaun Watson. And the insiders are telling you, if that trade were made with Houston, guess what? The Texans don't want Tua back in the trade. So people don't think Tua can play. All right, pressure is on him to show something. And at number 1,
who's number 1?
The most pressure is on the Cleveland Browns quarterback. Yes, Baker Mayfield.
This is
again, they are stacked everywhere. The defense can ball. The receivers are great. The running game is fantastic. The offensive line gets it done. It's on Baker. And last year, when OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. went out, I said, I think Baker will play better without OBJ because he won't have the pressure of getting him the ball. And he did. But OBJ is back. Now, can Baker show he's that leader on the team who can handle having a superstar celebrity receiver and not feel the pressure to force the ball to him? This is big for Baker. And again, like Lamar, has yet to sign the lucrative contract extension. I know you wanted Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I know you wanted Dak Prescott. But these five have the most pressure on them. Mark a brother's words.
No, okay. Broussard, I say this gently. That's an abomination of a list. It's just terrible. There's no way around it.
What?
And none of that. Listen, Wentz and Stafford, you can make the argument. So Stafford, I do think, is under a lot of pressure for reasons you mentioned. Yeah, the other guys are not. Everybody's got pressure to a degree. But I'm going to give you names far more so than this list. Stafford's there. Stafford has a lot of pressure. I would put number 4, Jimmy G. Hey, Jimmy Garoppolo. How about if you don't play well? Yeah, he's going to have to pick up and move his life and maybe be a backup. Number 3, what about the pressure of expectation? Josh Allen. Josh Allen, hey, you've had one good year. You got the best contract any player's ever gotten, and now you've got to live up to it. And then all tied at number 2.
It's
hey,
five,
guys, no pressure
Nick.
at all.
It's top 5, not top 8.
Yeah, I know, but these are all the same.
It's not top 8. What in the world?
Then drop
what is
off.
this?
First of all, that's 7 names. That's 7 names, first of all.
7.
Second of all, they're all in the exact same boat. Wentz, Goff, Darnold. All top 3 picks who are on their second teams who are playing to be starters. If they're bad, if any of them are bad this year, they are now backups for life. You were a top 3 pick. You're on your second team. Your career is hanging by a thread. And then a guy you didn't even mention, old Danny Dimes. Top 10 pick, year 3. He threw 10 touchdowns last year. Here's the other guys. Are they going to get a big contract extension? Is his next contract going to be at Staples? Is Daniel Jones's question. So he's under a bit of pressure. And so this idea that Baker and Lamar are under more pressure than the guys on this list or even Tua, it's just Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, and Sam Darnold, they're going to be backups. Daniel Jones is going to be out of the league. Josh Allen, that Bills Mafia is going to be throwing you through tables if you're not good this year after you get all that money and all that hype. So, I just don't know how Baker comes number 1 on the list when I think he's actually somewhere like 12 wilds. I can think of a lot. I gave you 7 names right there. You can probably, if you want to add Tua ahead of Baker, I would listen to it.
When you give 7.
What disqualifies me?
Come on. When you give 7.
Okay,
Giving 7.
There was
a top 5.
for second.
Well,
it wasn't
also under a tremendous amount of pressure is our producer, Sam Pepper. When Broussard got the beautiful graphic with the 5 quarterbacks and Nick just had a text list that Dusty made on his phone. This post-show meeting there's going to be some problem. All right. Hey, Broussard, what do you think about Russ? I feel like Nick's list had a lot of guys that are sort of a make-or-break year. Russ has been to the Super Bowl. He's got a ring, but he flirted with leaving the team. And we put a lot of the blame on Pete Carroll and the way that offense ran. But and the defense was tough, although they got better later in the year. But when you look at interceptions, when Russ started giving the ball to the other team, the leaders in interception last year, Wentz, who didn't play all the games, Drew Lock, Russ, and then Goff. So if Russ doesn't play well, and it's some sort of mixture of his fault and the offense's fault and Pete Carroll's fault, I could see him wanting to fire up the I want out of here mill again, and maybe he leaves. How much pressure do you think Russ is in? Why didn't he crack your top 5?
I mean, he did talk, obviously in the offseason about wanting to do this and do that. So I get what you're saying. But Russ is a made man. He's got a Super Bowl. If they win 9 games and maybe, let's say, worst case scenario, miss the playoffs, what's going to happen to Russ? He's still got his money. He's still viewed as a great quarterback, probably on his way to the Hall of Fame. So I just don't think this, like the drop-off, if he doesn't win, is going to be minimal. That's why I wanted to put Aaron Rodgers in there because, look, people say Aaron Rodgers is the best guy to ever throw the football, or at least until Pat Mahomes came. He hadn't been to a Super Bowl in a decade. He's only been to 1 in his career. So I think there's pressure on him. I wanted to get him in the list. And Dak you could throw in there as well, but Dak has built-in excuses. coming off injury. His training camp has been disrupted. The offensive line is already starting banged up, if you will, with Zach Martin and COVID. So I think, and he got paid. Nick, the problem with your list is America hadn't heard of most of the guys on your list. All right, so how much pressure is there on these guys? Nobody even knows about these. Daniel Jones,
third picks in the draft.
outside of North Carolina and New York, nobody's ever heard of Danny Dimes, all right?
Okay, all right, that's fine. Let's forget Daniel Jones then. I want to talk about, instead of my number one, your number one, because Baker Mayfield. Don't worry about mine. Let's talk about Baker.
Yeah.
My question is, why is Baker under this immense pressure after he had a brilliant season? The Browns won double-digit games. He won a playoff game. He's been bad 1 year in his career, and it was when he had the least qualified coach in maybe professional sports history. So why is the almost not margin of error? Why is there no benefit of the doubt for Baker Mayfield? Won a Heisman, won a national, or was number one pick of the draft. Why is it still like, you got to prove it to me again, Baker?
I'm with you on Baker, but Nick, you know what they say. What creates pressure? Expectations. And people are saying Cleveland is the biggest threat to Kansas City. Cleveland's going to beat them. We got our coach Mangini. Cleveland